I stand motionless at the stone pathway's border, struggling to comprehend the scene before me. 3 uniformed laborers tear through the earth where my mother's cherished Queen Elizabeth roses had flourished. Heaps of displaced plants lay strewn across the grass, their roots exposed to California's harsh sunshine. Stop. My voice breaks. What are you doing to my mother's rose garden? The workers halt, looking toward the auburn-haired woman overseeing their work from beneath her broad-brimmed sun hat. Celeste Monroe, now Celeste Blake, turns with the casual assurance of someone who feels entitled to their position. Merit, sweetheart. Her salmon-colored lipstick curves into a smile that lacks warmth. I expected you'd be working until 5. I left early. The words catch in my throat as I move closer, taking in the devastation. 6 years of devoted care, destroyed in one afternoon. Why are you removing Mom's garden? Celeste dismisses my concern with a wave. These outdated roses don't suit my taste. The landscaping requires modernization. Bruno leans against my leg, his golden coat warm against my jeans. His soft whimper echoes the turmoil in my stomach. You can't simply. I look for my father, finding him lingering by the pergola, studying a climbing rose as though it might provide answers to questions he'd rather not face. Dad. He glances up, then immediately away, examining the Spanish tiles underfoot. Celeste felt some new landscaping would revitalize the space, he mumbles. Revitalize? The word tastes acrid. Mom dedicated 15 years to cultivating these roses. And now I'll spend the next 15 creating my own vision here. Celeste adjusts her hat, shielding her eyes from the afternoon glare. Raymond and I discussed it thoroughly. We both agreed the property needed updating. 2 weeks. That's how long it's been since my father appeared with Celeste beside him, a new wedding ring gleaming on his hand. Vegas was incredible, Merritt, he declared, his eyes bright with excitement I hadn't witnessed since before Mom's passing. We were high school sweethearts. Can you imagine? We reconnected at our reunion. I'd swallowed my hurt at being excluded from such a momentous event and forced a smile. Congratulations, Dad. That's quite sudden. When you're certain, Celeste had replied, patting my arm with her cool, perfectly manicured fingers. What I couldn't have anticipated was the moving trucks arriving 3 days later, or that visiting meant Celeste's designer luggage would occupy the guest closets, or that her twin daughters, Tinsley and Marin, would arrive with matching chihuahuas that bark constantly at Bruno until he retreats to my bedroom. It's only temporary, sweetheart, Dad had assured me, helping movers position Celeste's white leather sectional where Mom's cozy floral couch had been. The girls need to complete their semester without interruption. Now I navigate around a dirt pile and kneel beside a discarded rosebush, its apricot nectar blossoms still pristine despite being torn from the soil. These are living plants. You can't simply discard them. The landscapers will take them, Celeste says, checking her timepiece. Really, Merritt, they're just plants. They're replaceable. But they're not replaceable. These roses witness my childhood, my mother's existence. I remember her kneeling in this garden, her wide-brimmed hat shielding her pale skin, pruning shears in gloved hands as she taught me the distinction between deadheading and pruning for growth. The garden remains. I stand, soil marking my knees. This is my house. Celeste's eyebrows lift. Raymond, your daughter appears confused about our living situation. Dad finally approaches, hands buried deep in his pockets. Merritt, we're all one family now. We must make concessions. A concession would have been discussing changes before destroying Mom's garden.
Heat builds in my chest.
You understand what this place meant to her, what it means to me. Your mother passed away 6 years ago, he says gently, as if time should have diminished my duty to her memory. Life continues forward. I recall her final lucid day, the hospital bed we'd placed in the sunroom so she could view her treasured garden. Her fingers, so frail they barely left an impression, squeezing mine. Promise me you'll care for our home, Merritt. It's your inheritance now. At 19, I'd inherited the Spanish Revival house overlooking the Pacific, its citrus grove and rose garden, and the responsibility that accompanied it. Dad had renounced his claim, saying he couldn't bear remaining after losing her. Until now.
Until Celeste.
I turn away from both of them and walk to the garden's far corner, where a bench sits beneath an arbor of climbing Cecile Brunner roses. Bruno follows, settling at my feet as I sink onto the weathered wood. "I won't let them take what's yours, Mom," I whisper, watching Celeste direct the workers to continue their destruction. "I promise." The following day, I stand paralyzed in the doorway, my laptop bag slipping from my shoulder to strike the hardwood floor. Where my mother's gallery wall once displayed 3 decades of family photographs, Celeste's enormous portrait now commands the living room. Her twins stand beside her in matching white sundresses, their practiced smiles gleaming beneath the new brass picture light. "What happened to our family photos?" My voice sounds detached, even to me. Celeste emerges from the kitchen, drying her hands on a pristine white apron that's replaced my mother's well-loved floral one. "I packed them away for protection." She gestures toward the transformed room. "This house needed a feminine influence, dear." It felt like a museum. My gaze travels to the mantel where Mom's antique crystal vase, a wedding gift from her grandmother, has disappeared. In its place stands a twisted metal sculpture resembling nothing more than an expensive tangle of wire. "Where's Mom's vase?" I move toward the fireplace, my hands clenching into fists. "That antiquated piece." Celeste adjusts a throw pillow, avoiding my gaze. "I stored it safely. That sculpture is from an emerging San Francisco artist. It cost more than your vehicle." Bruno presses against my leg, his warm presence the only familiar element in this suddenly foreign room. Dad appears from his study, reading glasses perched on his nose. "Merritt, you're home early." His smile fades as he notices my expression. "Dad, these were Mom's belongings." I gesture to the bare walls, rearranged furniture, the absence of 30 years of our shared life. "You promised when she died that her memory would be honored in this house." He removes his glasses, massaging the bridge of his nose. "Sweetheart, we need to accommodate our new family members. Celeste has exquisite taste." Exquisite taste would include respecting what already existed here. I struggle against the tightness in my throat. "Where are the photographs?" "In the garage," Dad mumbles, avoiding my eyes. The next morning, I'm 3 minutes into my most crucial client meeting of the month, a pitch that could secure a $4,500 contract for my design business, when my office door swings open. "Tinsley, have you seen my—" Marin stops, noticing my video call. "Oops." I quickly mute myself. "I'm in a meeting. Please close the door." She lingers, examining my shelves. "Mom wanted me to ask if you have additional towels. The guest bathroom ones are worn out. Garage linen closet, please." "Is that anthropology wallpaper?" My client's voice draws my attention back to the screen. I adore the home office aesthetic. I unmute, forcing a smile. "Yes, it's—" The door bangs open again. Tinsley strolls through in a hot pink bikini, water dripping onto my sisal rug. "Marin, are you coming?" "Jake and Tyler are waiting at the pool." My client's eyebrows shoot up. I watch her gaze follow Tinsley as she saunters across my webcam view, popping her gum. "Miss Blake, perhaps we should reschedule when you're less occupied." The call ends before I can explain. $4,500 vanished in 30 seconds. That evening, I discover my mother's mahogany jewelry box open on Tinsley's dresser, her pearl earrings, the ones Dad gave Mom for their 20th anniversary, dangling from Tinsley's ears as she takes bathroom selfies. "Those don't belong to you," I say from the doorway. She barely acknowledges me. "Mom said we should make ourselves comfortable." Those pearls were my mother's most precious possession. "Relax, I'm just borrowing them." She poses for her phone camera. Besides, they're just sitting there gathering dust. 2 days later, I return from grocery shopping to find Bruno limping, blood matting the fur on his front paw. Celeste's Chihuahua, Versace, yaps aggressively from his designer dog bed. "What happened?" I drop to my knees, examining Bruno's injured leg. "Your dog ventured too close to Versace's food," Celeste says without looking up from her magazine. Versace was simply defending his territory. The veterinary bill totals $275 for 3 stitches. I spend the night on the floor beside Bruno's bed, stroking his golden fur while he whimpers in his sleep. "Your mother obviously raised you rather primitively," Celeste comments the next morning when she finds me installing a lock on my office door. sleeping on the floor with a dog. It's quite uncivilized. The lock clicks into place. I turn to face her. This is my home office. I require privacy for client meetings. My voice is steadier than expected, and Bruno stays wherever I choose for him to stay. Celeste's lips compress into a choral line. Raymond, your daughter is making me feel unwelcome in our new home. Dad appears within seconds, anxiety creasing his forehead. Merritt, we're all family now. We need to.
No.
The word surprises us both. We're not all family. And this isn't your new home, Celeste. It's mine. Later that afternoon, Eleanor Whitman appears at my garden gate, her silver hair gleaming in the sunshine. Mom's dearest friend for 30 years leans on her cane, surveying the destroyed rose beds. Your mother would be devastated, she says quietly. What precisely did your mother's will specify, dear? Because I remember Catherine being very particular about the house. The question haunts me through the evening as I search through filing cabinets, looking for Mom's will. When my phone rings, James's familiar name illuminating the screen, I realize I've been crying. Hey, are you alright? His voice carries concern across the line. You sound awful. I need to locate Mom's will, I say, wiping my face. I think I'm about to enter a battle. 2 days later, the knocking begins at 7 in the morning. 3 sharp raps against my bedroom door, followed by Celeste's voice, sugar-coated but firm. Merritt, we need to discuss your living arrangements. I sit up, sheets pooling around my waist as Bruno lifts his head from the foot of the bed, ears alert. Another workday disrupted before it starts. I'm working, I call out, reaching for my laptop. Can we talk tonight? The door swings open without warning. Celeste stands framed in the doorway, already dressed in linen pants and a coral blouse, gold bangles jingling at her wrists. This can't wait, she says, surveying my room with obvious disapproval. Raymond and I have decided we need your bedroom. My designer wardrobe simply won't fit in the guest closet, and the lighting here is much superior for my morning routine. I blink, certain I've misunderstood. You want me to surrender my bedroom? The blue room down the hall is perfectly suitable for a single person. She waves dismissively. We'll need you relocated by this weekend. The blue room, Mother's former sewing space, barely large enough for a twin bed. My stomach churns as I imagine Bruno and me squeezed into that tiny space while Celeste spreads her possessions throughout my sanctuary. No, I say. The word is small but firm. This is my room. Her eyes narrow. This is becoming a habit with you, Merritt. So possessive, so unwilling to accommodate family. The word family in her mouth sounds like a threat. Bruno moves to stand beside me, his warm body pressing against my leg. I draw strength from his presence. This discussion is finished, I say, closing my laptop. I have clients waiting. Her smile tightens. We'll see what your father thinks about your behavior. She leaves without closing the door, deliberately, a small assertion of control. That night, bass pounds through my office floorboards as Tinsley and Marin host what sounds like half their sorority. Laughter echoes up the stairwell, punctuated by occasional crashes of something breaking. I squeeze my eyes shut, trying to focus on the proposal due tomorrow morning. My phone buzzes with a client text, still waiting on those mock-ups, Merritt. Everything okay? I type an apology and promise delivery by midnight. As if on cue, a piercing shriek followed by hysterical laughter erupts from below. Bruno whines, his paws covering his ears. I stroke his head and whisper promises I'm not sure I can keep. Just a little longer, boy. We'll figure this out. When I venture downstairs for coffee the next morning, I find Bruno's bed shredded in the kitchen corner, stuffing scattered across the tile. One of the chihuahuas, Prada or Gucci, I can never distinguish them, sits smugly on the counter, yapping when I enter. We're on a mission to hit 1,000 subscribers. Please make sure to subscribe. Let's get back to the story. Your dog destroyed Bruno's bed, I tell Celeste, who sips her coffee at the breakfast table, scrolling through her phone. She doesn't look up. Dogs will be dogs. Your dog, your responsibility. I hold up the tattered remains of Bruno's favorite toy. This is the 3rd one this week. She sighs dramatically. Perhaps Bruno should learn to share. The girls' dogs are simply establishing territory. My father enters, pouring himself coffee without meeting my eyes. Dad, this must stop. Bruno was here first. He's being terrorized in his own home. Dad glances at Celeste before responding. Merit, pets adjust. When I was young, our cat and dog fought for weeks before settling in.
This isn't fighting.
This is destruction. I dropped the shredded toy on the table. And it's not just about Bruno. Yesterday, I found Mom's photo albums in the garage with water damage. Celeste sets down her phone. Those old albums were cluttering the living room. This house needs updating, not monuments to the past. Something breaks inside me. This house isn't yours to update. From now on, Celeste says, her voice hardening, I'll be establishing the house rules here. Your father agrees. It's time for some structure. Dad shifts uncomfortably, but says nothing. The betrayal burns fierce in my chest. That afternoon, I sit in Amy Watson's downtown office, surrounded by law books and the faint scent of lemon polish. The estate lawyer studies the documents spread before her, occasionally making notes on a yellow legal pad. Well, she says finally, looking up over her reading glasses, the situation is quite clear. The house is exclusively in your name, Merritt. Your father signed a waiver relinquishing all future claims to the property after your mother's death. I stare at the document, my father's signature bold against the legal language. He can't simply move people in without my permission? No, Amy says firmly. Legally speaking, they're all guests in your home. Guests you can ask to leave at any time. Relief floods through me, followed immediately by guilt. I can't evict my own father. Your father is welcome to remain, of course, but his new wife and her daughters have no legal right to be there without your consent. Amy removes her glasses. I'd recommend giving them a formal 30-day notice. It protects you legally if things become complicated. On the drive home, I stop at Eleanor's house. My mother's oldest friend welcomes me with fresh lemonade on her patio, overlooking the ocean. Bruno settles at my feet, finally relaxed away from the chihuahuas. Your mother faced situations like this, Eleanor says after I explain everything. People who tried to exploit her kindness. I never saw her stand up to anyone, I admit. Eleanor smiles, the afternoon sun highlighting the silver in her hair. That's because she handled things quietly but firmly. Catherine was steel wrapped in silk. She reaches for my hand. She knew you would need that strength someday. Check the false bottom of her jewelry box tonight. After everyone has retired, I retrieve my mother's rosewood jewelry box. My fingers locate the hidden catch, revealing a compartment beneath the velvet lining. Inside lies a sealed envelope addressed in my mother's flowing script. My daughter, when you need courage. My hands tremble as I break the seal. Dearest Merritt, if you're reading this, you're facing something that seems impossible. Remember that our home isn't merely walls and a roof. It's the boundaries we create to protect what matters. Some people will test those boundaries, believing their desires supersede your needs. They are mistaken. You've always tried to accommodate others, my sweet girl. It's a beautiful quality until it becomes self-erasure. Your grandmother once told me, be a doormat only if you want footprints on your back. Hold your ground. Your strength runs deeper than you realize. All my love. I clutch Mom's letter against my heart, tears clouding my sight. Here in my mother's bedroom, now Celeste's territory, I can hear drawers sliding open, hushed voices exchanging words. Something within me crystallizes into determination. The following morning, I set up a small surveillance device on my office bookshelf, positioned to capture my desk area. James assists me in photographing every valuable item throughout the house, while Eleanor safeguards precious mementos in her guest house. This is the correct choice, James reassures me, clasping my hand as we catalog my mother's silverware. That evening, my phone chimes with a notification from the hidden camera. On the display, I witness Celeste and her daughters rummaging through my desk compartments, extracting bank records and legal papers. Check this out, Celeste murmurs, displaying my property tax document. The house value exceeds what Raymond disclosed. Her daughters giggle while photographing my financial data with their devices. I observe this, fury blazing pure and sharp, erasing months of uncertainty. Tomorrow, I will take my stance. The silver tray feels cold beneath my fingers as I carry 3 hot coffee mugs. I've prepared Celeste's with cream, precisely as she prefers. A manila folder sits next to the sugar container, its edges perfectly parallel to the tray's border. Morning, family. My voice echoes through the kitchen with newfound authority. Celeste glances up from her device, coral lipstick already flawless at 7:30 a.m. Someone seems upbeat today. I set the tray down with careful precision. I prepared coffee. Thank you, dear. Dad grasps his cup, his gaze shifting between me and the envelope. I settle into the seat opposite Celeste, Bruno positioning himself at my feet. I've also brought something additional. What might this be? Celeste's polished fingernails drum against the envelope. 30-day eviction notices, officially requesting that you and your daughters leave the property by July 20th. Coffee spills over Celeste's cup rim as she recoils. You cannot be serious. Completely serious. I sip my coffee, enjoying the sharp warmth. You cannot evict your own father. Her pitch climbs higher. Dad may remain. I lower my cup, locking eyes with her. You and your daughters cannot. Her complexion loses color. Merritt, this is legally enforceable. I push another document toward him. Amy assisted me in preparing everything correctly. Celeste grabs the notice, scanning the text with narrowing eyes. This is absurd. The girls will be without homes mid-semester. Better begin searching. I glance at my timepiece. Time is running out. The kitchen entrance swings open as Tinsley enters in silk sleepwear, disheveled blonde hair, and chaos. What's causing all this shouting? Your stepsister is attempting to evict us, Celeste snaps. What? Tinsley's jaw falls open. That's impossible. Actually, it's entirely possible. I rise, adjusting my shirt. This residence belongs to me. Not to Dad. Not to Celeste. And definitely not to you. This family requires counseling, Celeste announces, reaching for her phone. I'm contacting Dr. Bergman immediately. We must heal these rifts. This isn't about healing. I push my chair beneath the table. It's about establishing limits. Ray. Celeste addresses my father, her voice cracking. Your late wife would never approve of this. Catherine would be devastated seeing her daughter act this way. Mom's name being mentioned chills my blood. I study Dad's expression, waiting. Stop, he states quietly. Don't exploit Catherine to manipulate this situation. Something changes in Celeste's expression, a flash of fear. We had an understanding, Ray. You promised we could remain indefinitely. I said you could stay until you secured a place, Dad corrects, avoiding her stare. I never guaranteed this would be permanent. I've already documented everything in the house valued over $500, I inform them, displaying my phone's inventory application. The security firm installed cameras yesterday, and Mom's jewelry now rests in a safety deposit box. Celeste's mouth moves wordlessly. For once, she's speechless. I'll remain home all week. I continue. I've taken vacation days to ensure everything proceeds smoothly during this transition. You've planned everything, haven't you? Celeste hisses. I studied from an expert. I smile thinly. My mother always taught that preparation prevents poor outcomes. Later, Dad discovers me in the garden, trimming the few roses I managed to preserve. May we speak? His hands fidget nervously. I motion toward the bench. Bruno settles between us, his comforting weight against my leg. The attention flattered me, Dad confesses after extended silence. After 6 years of solitude, having someone desire me again felt wonderful. The pruning shears clip with satisfying sharpness. I'm not compelling you to choose, Dad, but I am compelling her departure. He nods slowly. I discovered her examining my financial records last night. Does this surprise you? It should have, he rubs his face. But no, I'm not surprised. Inside, doors slam as the twins debate potential destinations. Through the kitchen window, I observe Celeste pacing, phone pressed to her ear, gesturing frantically. I turn away, concentrating on the climbing Cecile Brunner rosebush, the one I refuse to let them destroy. A tiny pink bud has emerged where I pruned last week. Bruno nudges my hand, and I scratch behind his ears. We're reclaiming our home, I whisper to him. Dad stands heavily from the bench. I'll be in my workshop. I watch his departure, shoulders bent under the burden of his decisions. For the first time in weeks, I breathe deeply without feeling like I'm drowning. In the garden corner, I've already restored Mom's reading corner, her weathered wicker chair, the small table, the stained glass lamp all return to their proper positions. The remainder will follow, one room, one day at a time. A week passes, and the certified letter arrives at my desk with the force of ammunition. I slide my finger beneath the seal and extract heavy cream stationery embossed with Randall Wexler and Associates, attorneys at law. My stomach knots as I review the contents. Tenant rights, established residency, legal action if harassment persists. The words merge into a chorus of threats. I grab my phone. Amy, they're asserting tenant rights now. Amy's voice remains calm. I anticipated this. Schedule an emergency meeting today if possible. Their lawyer, your father, everyone. My office at 4. 2 hours later, I stand in Amy's conference room, Bruno pressed against my leg. The oak table extends between us like a battleground. Celeste sits flanked by her daughters and a silver-haired man with a leather case who introduces himself as Gregory Wexler, Esquire. Dad shifts uncomfortably beside them, avoiding my gaze. Amy arranges documents with systematic precision, her gray bob swaying as she moves. Thank you all for attending on such short notice. Celeste's smile fails to reach her eyes. We're anxious to resolve this misunderstanding. There's no misunderstanding, Mrs. Blake. Amy slides a document across the polished surface. This is the deed to 1426 Montecito Heights. As you can observe, it's exclusively in Merritt Blake's name. Mr. Wexler adjusts his spectacles. My client has established tenancy through continuous residence and verbal agreement with Mr. Blake regarding that point. Amy produces another document bearing my father's signature. This is Raymond Blake's legal waiver signed 6 years ago, relinquishing all present and future property claims. The twins exchange looks. Dad stares at his hands. Furthermore, Amy continues, retrieving a folder. California law requires written consent from the property owner for establishing tenancy. Miss Blake never provided such consent. I observe Celeste's face as the mask of polite concern slips, revealing something harsh beneath. This is preposterous, she snaps. Raymond invited us to live there permanently. Raymond lacked legal authority to make that offer, Amy responds. Mr. Wexler taps his pen against his legal pad. My clients have invested substantial funds in property improvements. Destruction is an improvement, I state, retrieving my phone. Here's what my mother's rose garden looked like before and after your improvements. I slide the phone across the table. The twins lean forward, then retreat as if the images might scorch them. You ungrateful child. Celeste's voice escalates, her perfect coral lipstick contorting. After everything we've done for you, living in that shrine to your mother, refusing to progress.
Celeste.
Dad's voice cuts through her outburst. I've never heard that tone from him. She turns to him, eyes widening. You cannot possibly be supporting her. Dad looks at me, then back at his wife. Something shifts in his expression, the haze of infatuation lifting to reveal clarity. This was Catherine's home, he says quietly. Our daughter's home now. I had no right to give it away. Celeste's face hardens. You're choosing her over me. I'm choosing truth. Dad straightens his shoulders. I was wrong to bring you there. The conference room falls silent. Bruno shifts against my leg, sensing the change. The eviction notice remains, Amy says, collecting her papers. 30 days from original service. That gives you. She checks her calendar. 2 weeks remaining. This isn't finished, Celeste hisses, gathering her purse. Actually, it is. I produce one final document. This is security footage from my bedroom showing you and your daughters searching through my financial records last Tuesday while I was at work. Mr. Wexler's expression changes. I'll need a moment with my clients. The next 2 weeks pass in tense silence around the house. Celeste and the twins spend most of their time shopping, pointedly ignoring the stack of moving boxes I placed in the entrance hall. No luggage appears. No packing begins. On day 30, I wake early. Celeste's Mercedes disappears down the driveway at 9, the twins in tow, likely for their weekly manicures. I make the call I've been waiting to make. By noon, a locksmith has replaced every exterior lock. A security technician reprograms the alarm system under my credentials only. Eleanor brings lunch and moral support, settling on the porch swing with Bruno. At 2 o'clock, Sheriff Deputy Wilson arrives, clipboard in hand. "All personal belongings have been properly gathered?" he asks. I nod toward the driveway, where Celeste's possessions sit, neatly boxed and labeled. The larger furniture waits under tarps, protected from the marine layer rolling in from the ocean. Everything documented and witnessed, I confirm. We don't wait long. The Mercedes screeches into the driveway at 2:47. Celeste emerges, shopping bags dangling from her wrists. She freezes upon spotting the deputy. "What is this?" she demands, striding toward the front door. Her key slides uselessly against the new lock. "Your 30 days ended at noon," I say from the porch. "As legally required, your belongings have been removed. You cannot do this." She pounds on the door. Raymond, open this door immediately." "Mr. Blake relocated to the Montecito yesterday," Deputy Wilson informs her, checking his clipboard. "He left this for you." The letter I'd watched Dad write the night before, his hand trembling slightly as he sealed it. Tinsley and Mary Ann emerge from the car, faces paling as they spot their possessions. "My designer bags. You threw them outside." Marin shrieks. "Everything has been properly packed and inventoried," the deputy says, handing Celeste a document. "This itemizes all belongings present. Please verify before removing them." Celeste's face contorts. "This is criminal. I'll sue you for everything you have." "I have security footage of you searching my bedroom," I reply calmly. "Financial documents you attempted to access, veterinary bills from when your dog attacked Bruno, witness statements about property damage, and my father's formal statement confirming my ownership." Something collapses in Celeste's expression. The facade of genteel control crumbles completely. "You'll regret this," she sputters, but the threat sounds empty. As the twins frantically call friends, faces flushed with embarrassment, neighbors peer from windows and gardens. The social standing Celeste cultivated these past weeks evaporates in the afternoon sun. I remain on the porch, Bruno beside me, as they load the Mercedes with what it can hold. A friend arrives for the twins in a small Honda. Another car comes for some furniture. Eleanor joins me as the last vehicle pulls away. The sun breaks through the marine layer, casting long shadows across the lawn. "Your mother is smiling down on you today," she says softly. I look at the garden where tiny green shoots are already pushing through the soil, where I replanted the rescued roses. "Yes," I whisper. "I think she is." A year later, morning sunlight streams through the kitchen windows as I arrange a centerpiece of freshly cut roses for the Easter brunch table. Pink and apricot Queen Elizabeth blooms, Mom's favorites, mingle with the pale yellow of peace roses in a crystal vase that once belonged to my grandmother. The familiar scent embraces me like a hug. "Those look perfect," James says, sliding his arms around my waist. He plants a kiss on my neck, then reaches to adjust one slightly drooping bloom. "Your mom would love seeing them back where they belong." I lean into his embrace. It feels right having everyone here today. Through the French doors, I watch Bruno race across the lawn, his golden coat gleaming in the sunshine. No sign of the limp that plagued him after Celeste's chihuahua attacked his leg. He stops to roll luxuriously in a patch of grass, then bounces up to greet Eleanor as she makes her way up the garden path, a covered dish in her hands. "I brought Catherine's carrot cake," she announces, setting the dish on the counter. "Made exactly from her recipe." Eleanor surveys the kitchen with approval warming her blue eyes. The house feels like itself again. "That's the highest compliment," I tell her, accepting her hug. James slips away to help his parents unload food from their car, while I lead Eleanor into the living room. Family photos once again line the mantel. Mom and Dad on their honeymoon in Hawaii, my college graduation, Bruno as a puppy. The walls have returned to the soft sage green Mom chose rather than Celeste stark white. "Have you heard from your father?" Eleanor asks, settling into what was always her favorite armchair. "He called yesterday." I straighten a photo frame. "He's bringing dessert." Eleanor's eyebrows lift slightly. "It's been good," Our talks. I sit across from her. The therapist helped me understand that his grief made him vulnerable. Not an excuse, but a reason. Your mother always said you had her backbone and your grandfather's capacity for forgiveness. The doorbell rings and Bruno tears through the house, barking joyfully. I open the door to find Dad standing awkwardly on the porch, holding a bakery box. Apple dumplings, he says, extending the box. Remember how we'd get them after your dance recitals? How could I forget? You'd always ask for extra caramel sauce. I step back, welcoming him in. His eyes widen at the sight of the living room restored to its former warmth. It looks like home again. That was the point. Conversation flows easily as more guests arrive. Valerie brings her new boyfriend. James's parents chat with Eleanor about gardening. I move between groups, refilling glasses, accepting compliments on the house's transformation. Later, as twilight falls, we gather in the garden. The newly planted roses stretch toward the setting sun, their first blooms unfurling. Bruno lies contentedly at my feet, occasionally lifting his head to accept a gentle pat from a passing guest. Eleanor raises her glass. To Catherine Blake, whose strength lives on in her daughter. To Mom, I whisper as James squeezes my hand. Dad approaches as the others drift toward the dessert table. Your mother would be proud, not just of the house, but of you standing your ground. He hesitates. I let nostalgia blind me. I'm sorry. We're finding our way back, I tell him and mean it. Later, after everyone leaves, I sit alone in the garden with Mom's journal open on my lap and Bruno's head resting heavy against my knee. Tomorrow, the living room will host the first meeting of my support group for young adults navigating family boundaries. The house that was nearly taken from me will become a sanctuary for others. We did it, Mom. I whisper to the stars beginning to appear above the roses. We protected what matters.